Good afternoon everyone, how are you? I've brought you back today to show you a basic hot process soap. Now this is just about as easy as you can get. Today I'm going to be making a soap for my little dog who has quite a sensitive little skin. He itches and itches and itches, and this soap really seems to help him, and it's very easy to make. In my oil pot I have 75% olive oil, 25% coconut oil. That is just a really basic recipe that makes a quite a nourishing, hydrating soap for my little doggy. In fact, this is a fantastic recipe for anyone to do. It's quite an economical recipe as well. So into the soap, I'm going to be putting a few goodies that I'll show you. I have a mix of a few different powders here that I'm going to add. In there I have some oatmeal, about 4 teaspoons of oatmeal that I have ground to a powder. I also have 2 teaspoons of lavender powder and 2 teaspoons of neem powder, and those are going to go into the lye water to create a slurry that I'll then add to the soap. So I hope you enjoy this little tutorial. It's a very basic hot process soap with a few little twists along the way. So that's one that I'll be adding into the lye water. I'm also going to be adding a little bit of sugar in a granulated form to the lye water. And after the cook, I'm going to be adding a little bit of Greek yogurt, which will help it remain a little bit fluid so that I can get a nice pour with it into the mould. So let's see how we go. It's a little bit of a process, but hopefully won't take too long. So I have measured out our water that we're going to use for the soap. There it is. And I have already pre-measured out the caustic soda. Now you will find this recipe in the comments below and also at the very end of the video. So when you're mixing your lye water, you measure out your water. It needs to be in containers that will withstand the corrosive nature and the heat. These are polypropylene. I have my gloves on, I have goggles on, and I have a mask that I place over my face prior to combining these 2 ingredients together. So when you do, just stand at arm's length, just so that you're not breathing the fumes. Give it a quick mix. Immediately it will get very, very hot. Now I'm going to add our powders into this lye water because I'm using the heat of the lye to dissolve the powders and distribute them through the soap a little bit better. So I'm not sure whether I mentioned, but I have got also 2 teaspoons of salt in this mix as well. So just keep stirring. You want that all combined into the lye water. It will be a horrible colour, we're going to ignore that. Things happen when I do videos. My son just walked into the room asking, what's for tea, what's for tea? So I'm going, not now, not now, not now. Wouldn't be without them for the world. So I'm just getting that off the spoon. So this soap is going to be a dreadful colour, but that doesn't bother me. It's for my dog, and with all that in there I would expect it to be a bit of a brown colour when it's done, but that's okay. We'll just see what the temperature of that is. So way up, 82 degrees Celsius. And then Fahrenheit, that's 166, so quite hot, hotter than I would like it to be. So we'll just wait for a moment. So I'll do a little bit of a heat transfer method here. That's just when your oils are cooler. So my oils are 39 degrees Celsius. My lye, 75. So that's going to be about 60 degrees. I'm happy to, once I combine the two together, I'm happy to continue just for the purpose of not keeping you waiting. If it's a little hot, we'll just stir through that. It will actually just help us go through the stages a little quicker, and that won't hurt. So standard hot process soap is you measure your oils into the pot. You use the warmth of the pot to melt any solid oils that you may have, and you still keep the temperature to about 60 degrees Celsius or less, and the same thing with your lye. The only reason I am mixing my lye as much as I am is that I want all those additives to be incorporated properly into the lye with not having any of it settle to the bottom, because there's quite a lot of powders in there. Okay, so I'm not going to strain it this time because okay, so I've got technical issues once again. So I stopped there while I got the camera working again, so I'm just keeping an eye on what it's doing. Need to keep mixing this because it hasn't quite traced properly. Haven't got my gloves on, so I'm going to stop and do that. So this recipe's giving me a bit of grief with all these additives in it, so I'll just spend a bit of time in bringing it to a proper trace. These things happen sometimes where you need to intervene and just mix by hand. It's normal though for hot process soap to do this and go through a few different stages. It doesn't help that this recipe is so dark. I could say a lot about the colour of my beautiful soap here, but I'll keep it clean and I won't. Let's just say it's a beautiful colour. Okay, so that's all looking good now. Very thick again. And sometimes soap does that, and you need to mix it and bring it back together. Hot process soap, you know, can separate quite easily like that. Any soap can really, but the most fun I've had is with hot process soap making, where your ingredients quite literally separate. So now we're ready to cook the soap. Just scrape off your tools as best you can. Try and minimise any waste. So this soap's going to be quite difficult to see when it has actually completed the gel phase, but I'm expecting or suspecting that it might be very dark, clear gel. So let's just see what we end up with. Stuff's like toffee, so it's not easy to get it off your tools. So we'll give it another 20 minutes of cooking and come back and see what it's like then. It's been 20 minutes. We'll give it a good stir. It's nice and fluffy. Give it a little bit more, because I don't think it's, although it's fluffy, it certainly hasn't reached our gel consistency yet. So nice and fluffy, that's a good sign. So lid on, and we'll continue to cook. Just make sure that's on nice and firmly. Okay, so it's been another 20 minutes. We'll check how it's going. With each time we cook, you notice that the soap changes. It goes through quite a few different changes with each time. And what you're looking for is to keep cooking it until it has a real shiny, waxy, Vaseline-y texture to it. And that's when you know it's done. So at the moment, it's still not there. It's going to need more cooking. So it's quite interesting to watch it go through all the different stages. It's quite a relaxing way to make soap, and some would say that it's a really easy way to make soap. I find the texture of the soap quite different. When you use the soap, it tends to be creamier, and I quite enjoy making it. So give it a really good stir each time, because you want it to cook evenly. So it's about 72 degrees. So we'll keep cooking. Okay ladies, so it's had another 20 minutes now. We'll see what it's like. So give it another mix. Now I noticed this time it has a much waxier consistency to it. It is a hard recipe to tell because the colour hasn't changed at all really, but it is much waxier feel to it. And in a case like this where it's hard to tell, you can take a little bit in your fingers and actually feel it. And if it's got a real waxy feel about it, then you know that it's ready. So I'm confident now to take my gloves off because it's such a hot day here. While it's finished cooking, that means that it's ready. So the lie's been consumed and it's not going to hurt you at all. So it's also nice and shiny now too. Don't know if you can see that. So I've got a couple of things I'd like to add to this now. And that is my sugar syrup. And my yogurt. So that's a good 2 tablespoons worth of Greek yogurt. And let's just see what this does, but it should loosen it up a little bit for me. The yogurt will convert to sodium lactate. Well, sorry, lactic acid. Wrong thing. And if you wanted to add some essential oil, you would do that now. So don't forget, this is for my dog, so I'm not adding anything to it. So I like to give that yogurt a few minutes to convert. So we'll come back then. So just pop the lid on and we'll come back after 5 minutes. Okay, so it's been 5 minutes. And we'll spoon that into our mould. What a lucky dog, hey? I know he's going to really like it because he's going to stop itching. Yes, I know I'm filling this mould, or overfilling the mould, but I just don't want to waste any, and it'll be fine. It's only for me, or our little doggy. So you can see that hot processed soap is much thicker than cold processed soap. You can certainly add a lot of goodies to it at the end, after the cook, or during the cook, or in the lye. Make some beautiful soap. And that's done. So I'll let that set overnight, and I hope you can see that. So I'll let that set overnight. I'll cut it tomorrow, and I still leave it at least 3 to 4 weeks for it to cure and be ready for use. Although the saponification has completed, it does still need to dry. So unfortunately we can't get away from that cure time. So I hope you've enjoyed. It's a fantastic way to make soap, and I'll see you again in the next video. Thank you. Bye.